I know that you had 2 hours with Miranda, so watch out because I'm chatty too.
Uh,
You're gonna have a lot to cut, David.
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm happy to talk as long as you'd like, but I don't want to make this a contest where it's like, well, I'm gonna have 3 hours, and the next guest, well, I'm gonna have 4 hours.
Maybe you should have posted about how long you had to cut.
Oh no, these improvisers, they love to heighten on each other. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Long Form Conversations, the podcast where we talk about long form improv. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by a wonderful guest. She's perfect. She's wonderful. She's gorgeous. She's an improviser and a writer, and she is maybe open to acting. Everybody, please welcome Cara Meyers.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I'm super excited as well.
Yes.
How are you doing? You just flew off. You just got off a plane.
Yes.
Bored your arms tires.
I am so tired. I flew home for the weekend to celebrate my parents' 40th wedding anniversary.
I saw a photo of that. So cute. So gross.
Very cute. They are, they still go on weekly date nights. They call each other every day when like one is at work and the other one isn't. They communicate. They choose their relationship above everything else. It's just been really like, I've never really seen them fight, and they've had arguments, but there's some good role models. So I was like, this is nice.
I'm sorry. Do you mind if I dive into this?
Dive into it.
This is very like it's weird. It's weird to say this is so rare nowadays.
It really is, especially because I could not be worse at relationships with it.
Let's dive into this really quick. What was it like to grow up with, to have like a model of like, a good model of love?
I didn't understand it when I was younger because they're not like touchy-feely couples. But then all my friends' parents who like were very touchy-feely didn't have good relationships, so I was a little confused. But I always knew that they really loved each other. I always knew that they chose each other, they worked hard at it, and me and my brother were not the easiest kids to raise, and a lot of shit has gotten in their way, and they have continuously chosen each other. So it's been really nice.
Do you think that makes it better, harder, easier, because there's like this standard to live up to now?
Okay, so my dad is my absolute favorite person in the entire world, and I think that is what makes it hard for me in relationships, because I'm like, like, he treats me so well, who the fuck are you? Also, I choose men that are stupid. Ugh.
And your dad's a smart guy.
He's a therapist. He's the smartest person I know, and he's the nicest person I know, and he's like not what you would think of like growing up with a therapist dad. He'd be like, do you want dad advice? Do you want therapist advice? Like, are you calling to vent? Like, what are you looking for?
Wow. That's even more interesting, because that means you had a lot of introspection, I'm guessing, growing up.
Yes. And then when I finally told him that I was going to therapy, and he's like, it's about time. And I was like, you rude. And he was like, you need to let go of some things. And I was like, you couldn't have helped me. And he's like, no.
Wow. He's even like, he's even a good therapist in that.
I know.
He's like, look, there are some things that I'm at fault for. I've caused some trauma, and you need to work on that with someone else. How long were you? So first of all, where's home?
Chicago.
And how long were you there for?
Oh, I got in Friday night and I left this morning, so I was barely home.
Oh, that's like a weekend.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. Are you jet lagged at all, or did you even have time to adjust to Central Time?
That like never really messes with me. It's just that I like taking. So I originally was supposed to have a Herald tonight, so I was like, I need to be back.
Oh, that's right.
In time for Herald night, and then cheaper flights are earlier in the morning. And so I took the like 8 a.m. flight out, which also means that there's never delays with like the first or second flight out. And so I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning, which is then 3:30 LA time. So I have been up since 3:30 in the morning.
Well, thanks for squeezing this into what should have been a nap.
It should have been, but I was like, oh, I had the day off of work. This is just like easy.
Perfect, yeah.
So thank you.
Do you travel often? You seem like a pro. You know exactly how to get back.
Well, because my parents are older, so I go home more than I probably should. But I also I stayed into like really close touch with a lot of my college and high school friends, so I like to see them a lot. And I am a Sagittarius, and I really don't know much about astrology, but I do know that Sagittarius is like to travel, and I get bored. So I'm like, let's go.
The only thing about Sagittarius is that they're fire signs. So you go for it. You go after it.
We go after it. We're loud. We're fun. Yeah, we're perfect.
So you mentioned earlier that you're a writer. I remember a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
We did a sketch club. All
Yes,
the
we did
different Harold
Sketch
and Lloyd's
Club.
teams
It
put
was
up
very
sketches.
fun. You guys go see Sketch Club. It is the only indie sketch show at UCB. So go see it.
Yeah, and they accept a lot of like. I don't want to say they accept everyone, but it feels like they accept everyone.
Yeah,
Like
they want to put
welcome
up
in new
teams that
people.
aren't getting put up.
Yeah, I've been told like, hey, we're gonna wait. David, thanks. You're always
We
submitting.
see you every month.
We're gonna wait a month to see if we can get new people. So they're like highly encouraging new people to
Yes.
step up. So definitely submit
It's a
to Sketch
very
Club.
fun show too.
I think it's I'll put the link at hot second.
Yeah, at hot second, do it.
We both put up sketches that a couple
Yes.
weeks ago, and then there was that really fun sketch that Gag put up. Did you write that?
I did write that.
I had a sneaking suspicion because it was very pro Cara.
That is.
There was a couple of lines in there. Cara's perfect, and I was like, wait a second, I've heard that before.
So to be fair, it was off of a group game that we did in practice. So it wasn't like fully my idea. And I kind of gave everybody like, I was like, I'm writing like a base, go have fun like with it. So it was really fun. But of course, if I have to write a sketch for 8 people, we're going to talk about how perfect I am in it.
And it was such a fun, it was at a strip club.
Yes, it was at Cheetahs. Have you been in Los Feliz?
Gotta check it out. I've been telling people tell me either go there or Jumbo's. I don't know which is the one.
Jumbo's, to be fair, never been to Cheetahs, but Jumbo's is like, you want to see women who are very, very good at pole work. Those women are fucking professionals at Jumbo. The talent is insane. Go to Jumbo's. It's fun.
Wow, the name betrays it. You think it's a bunch of clowns over
there. It's not though. These girls like
they're serious. They're professionals.
Yeah, there's like one that gets like all the way to the top. So she's basically like hanging from the ceiling, and then she drops and she like catches herself right before she hits the ground. And it was crazy. But I've never been to Cheetahs. I just know that it exists.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you don't want to use too many specifics in your life, you're gonna ruin Jumbo's for yourself.
Exactly. So I had to use Cheetahs.
Yeah. But super fun. That was one of like I love it when like the whole magic of sketch is getting the props, getting the costumes and everything. So I thought that was a really fun night.
It was a fun night.
Yeah.
It took me 2 hours to write that sketch and
brag.
Well, I was also like, I'm on a team with 7 of the funniest people. And like I wrote the like stripper doing a 1-woman show like for Taruko, who has a very successful 1-woman show. So I was like, milk this all you want.
Right.
Taruko.
You know what you're doing.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And she did.
So was some of that ad-libbed or improvised?
No, she kept my words word for word. She was like, I liked them so much. And I was like, you didn't have to.
Professional.
I know. Taruko's the best.
And then I guess wild last thing to talk about is I think it's so great what you all have done. I know that like maybe in retrospect it feels like a no-brainer, but at the time when UCB was just reopening, to have a indie night, to be able to let people come and perform, and that was exciting.
Well, we had it right before so I came up in a time where like the big indie teams were asked to like open up for the Smokes or like open up for Cook County Social Club, and like you only got it if like your coach recommended you or people knew your name. And then Wild kind of came out of like that life didn't exist anymore, and there weren't as many, like it was just kind of like, do people like you as a person? And we blew up, and then we got this show December 2019. So we did it December, January, February, and then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So
and I always thought maybe this was not a thing. Did you all get that because you were cage match champions?
I think it helped.
Yeah.
It helped that we were, and we proved that we could like bring an audience. And also I just think like we were like indie.
Sure.
Like none of us, when we started, not one of us was on Herald night. Nobody was on Mod night. Allie and I had been on Mess Hall. And like everybody on the team absolutely deserves to be on house teams, but we were like as indie comes.
Yeah,
like,
and you kind of want like that in like only indie teams and indie players know the indie scene.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They know who to ask and how to book.
And
once you're out of it, it's kind of tough.
And I think that's what we wanted to like give back to that community. And like, I don't know how much the indie scene, it's changed a lot from when like I started, but we are actually bringing on indie teams still, like new green teams. And like our philosophy is like, let's get a team who's never played on Franklin before, and then a team who's like a little more veteran.
Yeah. My first time playing at Franklin, not counting a grad show, of course.
Yeah.
My first time playing at Franklin was when you had Glass Clown
yes,
on. Like,
and
it's
we
a very
love
magical
that show.
thing.
It is.
Mhm.
And it's just giving, also being able to do that with a team that you pick feels very special.
Yeah.
And it's hard to describe, but it's like you picked this team, you all worked hard together to get where you're going.
And we're gonna hear all about the work in
all
your
about
journey
it.
when we jump into our next session. But
Yes.
anything else you wanted to talk about in our little banter section? It's a silly question.
I know.
All right.
I'm gonna banter this whole time.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our first section. This is gonna be
Improvster Syndrome.
This is the section where we get to hear about your journey coming up as an improviser.
Oh, fun. Okay, so we kind of started.
Mhm.
I started in Chicago.
Before that,
Yeah.
he's already
Nothing.
gave
I
me a
did
little preview.
nothing before that.
Nothing before that.
Nothing.
Reading books, English major.
I was always like the funny fat friend in the group. So I was like, I'm so funny. I got this. And so I just took an improv class. Like truly like didn't do plays, had like I've always wanted to be a writer. Going into improv, I thought I wanted to like write nonfiction. Like I'm really mad that this became a podcast because it's something me and my friends used to say, but it was like I was gonna write a book like Girls Gotta Eat, and it'd be like my hookup stories and like baked good recipes that I make up. But Girls Gotta Eat is now a famous podcast. So I can't steal that name. But you know, little things like that. That was
you could do the novelization.
Yeah. Cara Meyers presents.
So growing up in Chicago, then did you ever see any comedy, or did your folks go on date nights to comedy shows?
You know, I had gone to a few shows at Second City, and then as you do here, as you know, like the second you sign up for a class, and if you're having fun, you're all in. And so I was like taking sketch writing too at Second City, and like my class started, and I was on a Tuesday night, and Tuesday nights they would have the main stage, but it was the beginning. So like the main stage, they would do like improv into sketches and then write those sketches. So we would go and watch them weekly. And so it was really cool to watch a fully improvised show become a fully like scripted main
because you could see
stage
them in the meantime like work on it and rewrite it and stuff.
Yes, and it was like really cool and really interesting. And then I took classes at IO also because they're like, you know, you need to be a better actor and whatever. I'm not an actress. I don't want to be, which is stupid because I guess improv is acting.
You're doing it, baby.
And I'm doing it. And then
so at the time you were much more like drawn to the writing, and you're like, I guess I gotta learn how to do this improv stuff.
Okay,
so
here's what I do. Yeah. Unfortunately, I will do the thing I don't want to do first.
Yeah.
So like I wanted to be a writer. I took improv before I was comfortable enough to take sketch. I did it here too, because I'm like, there's just something about improv where it's like, you know, if you have a bad show, it was improvised. It happens. But if your sketch doesn't go well, like you worked really hard on that sketch. It's so much scarier. It's so devastating. And it's so much scarier to do that. So I always went for like what I didn't really want to do first. But then I fell in love with improv. I really did.
Second City, was it short form, long form?
It was a little bit of everything. Not the most short form. Like I learned what a herald was in Second City. We went over it one day. One day they taught us a herald. We would do, I guess, like not fully short form games, but kind of more like groundlings. Like we'd do longer scenes, but we're given a lot of answers.
Can we get a name? Can we get a relationship? Can we get an unusual thing?
Yeah, exactly. Can we get everything they need to do?
Yeah. And then just act.
Yeah, and then you just go.
How was your journey in Second City? So you mentioned that you tried to go up to conservatory. Did you do IO concurrently, or did you leave Second City?
I started with Second City. What I really, really, really liked about it is that you stay with your people if you like them. And we did. We really got along. And it would be a Sunday nights where when we took our classes and we'd go across the street and drink beers until like 2 to 3 a.m. And it was like a bunch of people my age. It was so fun. And you stuck with them. We're like, okay, we'll see you like next Sunday when we go to like level 2. And then we have like shows together. And they really did like make this like core group of friends doing that. And then in order to audition for the conservatory, you had to take an acting class. But the acting class at Second City was done by this guy who's just like so emotional that like if you didn't cry in every class, like he would think you didn't do anything right. And it was made me uncomfortable. And someone was like, just go try like IO where they're a little more like emotional based. And I feel like that's where I learned to do the improv that I like to do. And so I went there and it was a lot harder than Second City because it was like Second City really like, I don't think you did a full scene until like level 2 or 3. Like, but you know, day 1 at IO, they're putting you up in 2-person scenes. And I was also like 23 and dumb and like anxious and like I cared too much about what people thought. And I didn't have that much fun at IO, as much fun as I did at Second City.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm sensing, so there's a pattern here. You like to do the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So you're like, so in order to audition for conservatory, I gotta take this class. When I take this class for acting, I gotta take IO.
Yes.
And I hate IO.
I felt like I think it was also just like they felt that they were better, and the people in my classes weren't as like open and kind as they were. Like I think I made like one real friend. Now he lives out here, and we like when I moved here, he did not move out. He wasn't here yet, and so we're not really friends now. But like I didn't feel like I was really close to anybody in those classes like I was with my Second City friends.
So Second City had a better sense of community than you felt at IO.
And it's the way IO does it is like you take all your classes and then your like last level is just shows with your class. And then they pick people to be on a Herald team. So it's a little different. I guess it's like, I don't know if I was like emotionally ready. For that.
That does seem more actory, more like
Yes.
cutthroat audition. It's like one giant audition process.
Yeah. It just didn't, I never like fell in love with IO the way other people did. And then I didn't get into the conservatory and I was like, okay, I'm moving into LA. Like literally my friend was like, if you don't get in, why don't you just move here? My lease is up.
Yeah. So how long was this journey of Chicago?
I was only in Chicago for a year and a half after college until I moved here. But I was like living with my parents. And it was
what fueled that move then?
My best friend was out here. Also, the stupid boy that is truly the worst human I've ever met in my entire life. But
yeah, we don't like this.
We all need to make mistakes.
And is this your best friend from childhood, from college?
From college.
English major?
No, she was a theater major. She came out here to do comedy and like she wanted to pursue acting. And her and her sister was moving out and she was like, my lease is up, just like come. And I was like, I mean, why not? I was so like truly 24 being like, okay.
Yeah. And
then I just did it. And now it's literally been 10 years. I moved here on half of a whim and now I'm here. It's been 10 years. Is that not crazy?
No, it's not crazy. Because you know what? I think Sagittarius.
It's true. And now I'm like, ugh, if I
you saw it and then you galloped over.
I know. I was like, okay. Because I was also like, I'm a big believer that you have to leave your hometown. You have to leave your comfort zone. And I did. I'm also like,
yeah, I bet living with your parents, as great as they seem,
I
still a
wanted
motivator.
to fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
I love them, but truly,
not because of that, because of the the high school bedroom.
Truly, it was just like I was also like still. I drank a lot. I partied a lot. I drank a lot. And not that I didn't do any of that when I got here. I absolutely did. But I partied a lot and drank a lot with improv friends and not with all my friends from college and high school because I went to a Big Ten school. So a lot of us moved to Chicago after. And I just was like, okay, I'll move.
All right. So you land, you're moving with your best friend. What's LA those first couple of months like?
I immediately signed up for UCB 101.
Okay.
Like true.
Oh, yeah.
Like truly, like I started, I think 3 weeks after I moved here.
So why did you, well, actually, first of all, did you go to Pink's Hot Dogs? I'm just
No,
kidding. Okay.
I did eventually, but I am from Chicago where they have really good hot dogs.
Right. Why did you choose UCB over IO West or Second City Hollywood?
So I actually went to UCB and Groundlings because I did IO and then
And you felt like I got it.
well, I was like I could go and finish the classes
Mhm.
and I did eventually take iOS classes and I felt the exact same way about iOS that I did about IO Chicago. My heart was just like never in it in
Mhm.
those classes. And my best friend was like, UCB is going to be your closest to like what you are doing and what
Mhm.
you liked. And I was like, okay. Also, I think the classes at the time were like cheaper.
Mhm.
And so, and then I just like immediately drank the Kool-Aid in my like 101.
Yeah.
It felt like home.
Do you remember who your teacher was?
Um, yes, Fran Gillespie. I
Oh.
know. How did I get so lucky to have SNL alum Fran Gillespie be my teacher?
Mhm.
She was tough. I think that's why I liked it though, because I had like already taken classes.
You've already been doing improv, yeah. And then
Yes.
to be challenged at a 101 class.
Yeah. And I actually met someone who's still one of my best friends to this day, John Potter. We each had just moved out and serendipitously signed up for this class. And I was like, I like that kid.
Mhm.
Now we've been very good friends for like 10 years.
And so you were bit and you just started taking. How long did it take you to get through those courses?
I think I like almost immediately went into 201.
Mhm.
And then I took a break after 201 because I had Greg Tukolescu and he was tough.
Mhm.
Like he would not laugh. And it was my mission to make him laugh. And I did it. I made him do a spit take
Yeah, but
once.
tickling doesn't count, Cara.
It doesn't. But also it wasn't from improv. It was from a story I told. So it didn't matter. And then I took a break. But I think overall, I think I like went through the program in like 2 years.
Mhm. So after this break, after 201 to 301, and I know you said it took about 2 years to get it all done.
Yeah.
Were you doing anything else extracurricular?
Yeah. So in 301, I met a group of girls. We had Jess Eason. It was a very small class. I will sing Jess Eason's praises all day. And we were like, we should start an all-female team. It's a running theme in my life. And we did. There was like 12 of us
Whoa.
who were on this team. We were called Ruggedly Handsome. And so we practiced all the time.
Yeah. That's a
And
huge team.
it was it very much dwindled down to like 5 of us as
there was, I don't know if they still are active, but there was a band in China called the 12 Girls Band. And it was like they weren't necessarily pop, it was like a 12 girls and
Yeah.
like some of them were violinists, some were guitar players, but it was like 12 girls.
it
I wonder if they
unfortunate.
took Jesse Eason too.
Yeah. Well, we all of so 6 of us were in that like Jess Eason class.
Mhm.
And then my 2 roommates were like 2 other people. And we just kind of were like, well, let's just start it where we throw like a bunch of stuff at the wall and see who sticks. And then
Mhm.
like 11 of us stuck around for like a year. And then of course there was drama and people dropped. And then my 401 class, we had Ari Vukaitis just came to LA, notoriously a very hard teacher. He loved us.
Mhm.
To this day, he still talks about that 401 class. But to be fair, like all of us saw like 20 shows in that class. We were obsessed with improv. We were probably the best class you could ask for because of that.
Mhm.
And I'm still like very good friends with people in that class, but we did start a team called Power Lunch. That team did very well. The UCB grind of it all kind of ended that team as well. But that was my team that I did my first non graduating show with on the UCB theater. We opened up for the Smokes. We opened up for Cook County. Jess Eason asked us to do a show. It felt very exciting at the time.
So your grind now, I guess this is your post 401 grind.
Yeah.
So you were active in the indie scene.
Very active in the indie scene. The other thing is like, I was on my like 3 big teams were all like very successful indie teams, like Ruggedly Handsome performed often. Power Lunch got all those like big shows, but like nothing stuck. Like Power Lunch didn't last. It started off as an 8-person team, ended up being 3 of us.
But how long was that duration?
That duration was probably like 2 or 3 years.
So that's pretty good.
Yes.
I would say that's a higher average than most,
Exactly. I think I am afraid of change. So like I hold on to things longer than I need to, but like it's okay that like there are ebbs
Hey,
and
not
flows.
afraid of commitment. That's
Um,
tell that to your therapist, yeah.
no, see, I'm afraid of romantic commitment. I'm not afraid of friendship commitment. um, but yeah, so those Power Lunch was like also we put in a lot of work on that team. So it was like very, oh God, we used to like rent out theaters to practice because we couldn't like be at someone's house
Yeah.
or something. And
I definitely want to talk
so,
about the magic of Ruggedly Handsome and Power Lunch, but
yes,
we'll
and
say
then
that for the next
yes,
section.
save that.
But looking at this now, so what are you looking forward to? Is auditioning on your mind?
Yeah, at that point, I think I auditioned for Harold 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Was it?
asked,
Did you do it as soon as you could, as soon as you passed
yes,
401?
and that was the only time I didn't get a callback at my first one. I had
Mhm.
just was just a little baby out of 401. And
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm like, you gotta get that one. But then so yeah, I auditioned 6 times, got 5 callbacks. My favorite thing to do is I'm gonna play with the person who absolutely looks the most miserable because they're gonna have more fun. I'm like, oh, this is fun for
Yeah.
me.
And
I
that's
don't
your gift to be able to help them have
yes,
fun.
I do it every time and it works.
And
It
it
really
works.
does
Yeah.
work. Yeah, so I think I also was in my like first advanced class, like right, like the second time the second mess hall teams were formed, and like my teacher had me audition, which was like nice. Did not do well in that audition, did not do well in my first Herald audition, but then you kind of get like the hang of it. And then the next time I auditioned for mess hall, I made it, which was exciting. And I just was, I guess, a Herald callback queen until
Yeah.
this past year.
What was that team called?
We were scaling. It was a good
That's a great effing name for an
yes.
improv.
So I don't know if you ever knew who Xander Frost was. He was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
bitch. Yeah. Xander picked the name. Xander had a lot of rules.
Big
And what
triangle guy.
he was just like, we gotta pick something that is really like he was just like he had to know Xander's to love him. He had like his own thoughts, and I was like, sure, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a pretty dynamite team. It was Xander, Sydney Steinberg, Greg Giebel, me. Like everybody on our team had been like around for a long time, and I had known most of them, and we had a lot of fun. It was a good time. I really enjoyed my like 6 months. I was
Who
like,
was your coach?
we started with, oh my God, why can't I think of his name? Matthew Brian Cohen, and then we had Paul Welsh.
That's great.
Yes, we had 2 incredible coaches.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a good. And then like that next year, Sydney got on Herald Night, and Xander got back on Mess Hall. Greg made another Mess Hall team. Like it it was a good team. We were good.
Yeah.
It felt I liked it. People were like, oh, that's good. You know, when you like, unfortunately, when you see names on a list, you're like, oh, that's gonna be a good team.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a good season. Like a lot of your favorite improvisers were on Mess Hall at that time.
I want to hear about what it was like doing intern/work study.
Oh, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I was Sunday night, so I had ASCAT and then occasionally like a stand-up show. I had the best time. Like you couldn't like they let me intern for over a year because I would bring treats every Sunday. It was fun. I loved my little group. We got along so well. And also like we had 2 good shows. So it was like easy, and we didn't have to like they used to do it where like one person had to go to the inner sanctum, but that didn't really exist at that time. They had their inner sanctum had other people, so we all got to stay and watch ASCAT or whatever show it was. It was just fun. I personally I loved it. And with that, like I think I stopped paying for classes after 401 because I became an intern, work study, and then I got a job at the theater.
So it was like pretty good. Yeah. Free shows, free classes.
Yes. It's just like
free
community.
friends.
Exactly. It's community. And like I'm Chatty. I remember I'll never forget this, but like Edgar and Amon from Leroy, they used to come and watch ASCAT every week. And Amon was always such a like little shithead in line. And we would always have to like yell at them to like get up against the fence. And like it was so fun watching those boys also like be like watching them be the improv nerds that then became guys who like did these shows all the time, and then watching them get on Herald Night. But like it was fun. It was just like fun to watch things like that happen.
Yeah. So I want to hear about the formation of Wild.
Oh, okay. So I started as I said, I was a callback queen. I did not know how. I also like kind of choked in all of my callbacks in a way. I was like, well, I don't ever do the Herald. And like, so I signed up for boot camp, and that is where I met Allie.
Mm-hmm.
And then Allie and I very quickly became very good friends. And we were talking about, because she was on I'm Susan, which still exists, and they all met in boot camp. But like, we were both like, it's so much fun playing with women because like, I don't know, it's hard to, it's just fun. They like, it's just fun. And so we just talked about like, well, what if we made like a dynamite team? And so when Wild started, it was 8 people. So it was me and Allie. And
So you're
then,
the ringleaders.
well, we were just like, we wanted to start it. And I was like, well, okay, I know Jess Svensgaard said something about wanting to be on like a predominantly female team. So I added Jess to the chat. And then Jess knew that Meg Joe wanted to be on a team. So she added Meg, and then Meg added Amanda. And that's just kind of how it happened. And then I have always had like in my mind a special relationship with Sean Diston, but like I know Allie did too. Allie took a few of his classes. And I was like, Sean, I'm putting together this team. Will you coach us?
Mm-hmm.
And he at the time refused to let us pay for coaching because he hated that UCB made Herald teams and all these people pay their coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So it was his act of rebellion. And he graciously said yes to coaching us. And it was like the beginning. That was it. It was just like our first practice. We had 3 other people on the team, Molly Doan, Mia Schaffler, and Sally Omar. And it just, as teams go, people leave, you know? And it was just like magic at the first practice.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, this was fun. And we immediately like, because I also think like enough of us, like Allie was on I'm Susan, Jess was on the interns, I was on Power Lunch, Amanda was on Dick Cannon. So like everybody knew someone on our team. So we got booked very quickly a lot. And then everyone was like, oh my God, they're so funny. And it's like, I do think we're very funny, but I just think it's something about like when women get together, we
Yeah.
are insane.
I remember when I first saw you all, I did not know that was just kind of, like text chain.
Yeah.
I would have assumed y'all were friends because y'all play. And that's, I think, what makes like a team stand out, especially in any team where it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're all besties and they all hang out every weekend. And this is now them doing improv, you know?
Which is how a lot of indie teams do start. So it's interesting. That's not, I mean, I don't think that's how I think that's how Shag started similarly. That's what Meredith told me, that she was like, I kind of did what like you all did. And I was like, that's exactly what you should do. And then
Mhm.
hope it works out. And like, it is working out for Shag too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's great. But yeah, we were just, I think we're also none of us were on Herald Night, and we were like so hungry for it, all of us. And that helped, that like dedication that we all had to like wanting either Herald Night or Mod Night or something. And it worked. And we've been a team for like 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
What was it like going through a cage match?
Okay. The shows
Because it's weird, it's
themselves,
competitive. I've never done a.
it is so competitive. You never want to lose. Like
Mhm.
once you win. And so we got our first one. They put us up against Sean and Devin when they were on their like 25-week run.
Mhm.
And we got the closest to beating them. But that's because we like hustled to get butts and seats.
You stacked the audience.
And even Sean and Devin were like, no, y'all scared us.
Mhm.
we thought you might take this, but we didn't, and we didn't deserve to. They're very funny. But I think because we like packed that house and we wanted it, when they ended their run, they like got graduated. Ryan, Dave, and Jane asked us to come back. And so it was like us against 2 Live Crew. And we beat them. And then we're like, oh, we never want to lose again.
Mhm.
And so it was like also weekly at 11 p.m.
Yeah. Wednesday, right?
Wednesdays,
Middle of the
11 p.m.
week.
Middle of the week.
Mhm.
Pre-pandemic though, so it was different world we were living in. And it was so stressful leading up to it, but then like the most fun every time we won.
Did y'all have any like strategies going in, or was it just like, let's just do solid improv?
Let's just have fun. I think that's just always what we do best, is like, let's just have fun, be silly, and be wild. Like that's who we are. We move quick and we're insane. So
Was that something that like Sean had cultivated in y'all?
I think I remember distinctively in our first ever practice, Sean was like, do y'all want to work on game and be technically good, or do you want to be fun? And we were like, we know game, we want to be fun. And then it was like, yeah,
That's great.
let's work on that. And I think because of that is what finally I think got me on Herald Night, because I stopped caring about like what the perfect move was.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I just want to play like me. And I wasn't doing any of that in my like callbacks before. And then this time I was like, no, they know who I am.
Yeah.
They know Cara on Wild. If I go in there and trying to do like perfect game improv, like that's not me. It's not what you're going to get if I got on Herald Night anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really helped me. I think also being on a team with 4 of the loudest women you'll ever meet on stage, like forces yourself to be like, no, fuck you. You got to listen to me too.
Right. Yeah.
And like, it really made me a much better improviser.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. And I only want to ask you about this because I feel like it's a unique thing. I'll probably never get a chance to ask any of my other guests. What was it like to be on Improv for Humans?
It was really fun. We were nervous. I don't think Besser knew what to do with us.
Yeah.
He tried to wrangle us and he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just like, it's not the improv that we do. And we were like, it was such a high and such a huge moment in our like improv careers. And then the pandemic happening so shortly after that, when we were like being like, oh my God, do we just like keep going? Like the producers came and watched our set and like really liked us. And it's so hard to be like so close to something. And then the pandemic took everything away from us.
Didn't take too much though.
It didn't, but it still is like.
Was it weird switching? I don't know how they do it, but like, was it weird doing it like just audio only improv, or that transfer pretty well?
It wasn't too hard. I think we are the issues, like we're all loud.
Yeah.
So it was like a give and take. And I just think Besser was like not used to, at that time, there were 6 of us, like 6 loud women.
Well, it's also a tough thing to be like, hey, I'm one person. You're a whole team that has a thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do I insert myself into your dynamic? It's tough.
But I just being asked felt like insane.
Yeah. I remember that being like a huge moment. I was like listening, I was like, oh my God, like kind of that same thing where it's just like, I've seen them at shows, I've seen them do cage match, and now they're on my podcast app, you know?
I think I like legitimately cried when we got asked. I was like, this is insane. It wasn't something I registered that could happen to us. Because you know that like if you make it on Herald Night and you keep going and your Herald team does well, or like Besser thinks you're a standout, you're going to get asked to do it. But like to get asked to do it with a team that like you've put together and you've worked really hard with
that's huge.
Really cool.
Okay. So let's talk about Herald 6-7 months in.
Okay. I really, really like my team. I wish we played weekly, which is a theme that every Herald person thinks now. And I think I'm the most grateful that I got on when I got on, because I'm like, I don't have imposter syndrome. Like, no, I deserve my spot on Herald Night.
Yeah.
I worked my ass off, as did everybody on my team and on every team. But like, it feels good to know that like when I got on, a lot of people are like, oh, finally you got on, and not like, oh, Cara got on, which is like, unfortunately, something I care about. I don't want people to think I'm not funny and not deserving, because I care about what people think about me.
You care about the community and you care about fitting in. I think that's a better way of framing it.
You're right. You're right.
Like, I don't want the community to hate me for this
opportunity. Yes. I don't want them to think I'm not ready. And like I said, like I walked out of that callback being like, if I don't get on Herald Night, it is because there's just something about me that they don't think will work on Herald Night, and that's okay. But I knew like it's this one or never, because that was the best I've ever felt.
You experienced this not too long ago. What was it like seeing your name and then getting on the group email and picking out team names?
So this year wasn't as like crazy as like past years were, but the like, did you get a call? What's happening? Did you get a call back? Like all of that was like still kind of happening, but because a lot of my friends either like decided not to audition or were already on Herald Night, there wasn't as much of it. And like, I had a really great first audition. So I knew I'd get a call back. And I kind of was like, whatever about the whole experience until I got my call back. And I was like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Like, I was fully like all in at that point. And let me tell you, getting that phone call was so exciting. And I knew it. Like, I had never, like I said, callback queen, got them all the time. Never thought I was going to get a call. This time I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it took 4 days too, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When is this happening? Because I was like,
Hey,
there's no way.
Meyers, it's the top of your list.
Right. It's funny because I was in a group chat with Eli and he just texted and said, oh my God, I made Harold. And as I'm reading that text message, I get my call from Riza. And I was like, oh my God. And it is just like, you got a call too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible.
It was incredible.
And you know, it's funny. Bold move to do that because I was also in my friend group. I was the first to get the call, and then I sent the text, and then I immediately like as soon as I hit send, I put my phone down. I got back in the car, and I was like, why did I do that?
Yep.
Because I'm just gonna ruin their day.
Yeah, you're gonna ruin everybody's day.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
but don't do it. I guess
don't do it. But or also do it because it's like, are you gonna ruin days? Like, no, we all want this. Like,
I think like just don't be. I mean, you just don't want to be the first one. I guess wait 30 minutes and then do it. Maybe.
Yeah, it was. So like, Eli and I were on mess hall at the same time.
Yeah,
I love him to death. I'm like, it's about damn time that boy finally got on Harold Night too. So like, even if I didn't get on and he did, I think I would have been just as happy because it's like, ugh, so good. And then just like finding out, I mean, you know, I think I told you this, but like, I asked Dana if you made a team.
She did.
I was like, David did really well, and I need to know if he made it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, as soon as I sent that, I went out, I emailed all my coaches, like, hey. So I'm sure she told you the good news.
She did.
She didn't let you suffer for too long.
She didn't. She's like, yeah, he did, and I was like, I knew he would. It was exciting, and I hate like, you think like after the pandemic and after all these things, when you know that like this can be taken away from you, and it's not the biggest thing in the world anymore, it still felt so good.
Yeah, you know, I will say this, like for me, it is the Herald. I do love the Herald.
Yes.
And it is one of the few places where like we can actually do this thing now. So for me, that was always going to hold, maybe, you know, not the school or not the, you know, whatever, the prestige or whatever.
Yeah.
But definitely just like to be able to do Heralds, that's a hard thing to do in this city.
Yes.
And there's like the place
you don't get the time to. And then also like something about also like we all asked for this. We auditioned. So like the same amount, we all care. We're all going to put in the same amount of effort and time to get better. And like, I will say, I feel so lucky that I'm on GAG because like everybody individually is so funny, but not one person has an ego, which I was like, wow, I lucked out.
Yeah, that's something I mentioned in our survey. I was like, I don't know if it was by design or by accident, but you all picked like a generation of the sweetest people ever.
Yeah, your team has real sweet people on
it. I love this this class.
Me too. I really like it. It's a lot of my friends, also a lot of people that like I've watched for so long make it, and it's just fun. I think because there is this like, we don't know how long this will last anymore, so it's not, and it's not the most important thing in all of our lives, but it is still important.
Yeah,
and I think that is like helpful.
Anything else to add about your improv journey?
Just like,
or advice?
I think it's just like, stop worrying about what everybody wants you to do and just do you. I think like I fell in the traps that everybody falls into. The like, I got to take a class with this person and this person, and I got to be coached by this guy or this person. It's the only way I'm going to make Harold Night. And it's like, no, because I was trying to do what all of them wanted me to do. And it wasn't until I was like, no, like, I'm gonna do me. And it worked. And it's like, that's what makes you funny, is like, what do you bring to the table that nobody else brings to the table? And I think we can all forget that in audition time. So don't, just do you and be you. And like, you got this far because you know game. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, we all got here. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just go have fun.
Yeah. And I'm you know, I agree. And I think the indie scene is really where you get a chance to like hone that voice and find your individual identity, which is a great segue into our second half. But thank you so much for sharing your improv journey with us, Cara.
You're welcome.
We're going to go ahead and transition over to our next segment now, which is going to be our topic of the week. Now, for this topic of the week, this is maybe, again, a really good pairing, a really good fit. I've asked you to talk about house teams versus indie teams, and you're someone who has plenty of experience in both.
I don't know. My heart belongs in indie improv. I think as much as I feel very lucky. I've loved both of my experiences thus far being on house teams, but there's something so beautiful about like putting a team together, working hard and getting these like big, huge things because of like when you're really just like a team that mostly plays at the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like hard to explain that to people like outside of the improv community, because like people are like, oh, you made Herald Night, and I can kind of explain that to them in a way that they know it's like a big deal. But to like explain being like, oh, my team did this and this, and we like, Wild, it has obviously been my most successful indie team. It was not my first, so like remember that, and it won't be my last.
Yeah.
And it might not last forever, and it might last forever, who knows, but like continue to like play with people you want to play with.
Yeah.
Like, I think people really don't. I've heard people say this, like, oh, I love this person, but like, we don't play that well together. And it's like, then why are you doing it? Then why are you playing with them? You can love somebody so much and be like, we don't work well on stage together. We don't need to play together. Like, play with the people that like make you funnier. My biggest thing, I will say, it will ruin your team if you think you are the funniest person on your team. Never be on a team where you think you're the funniest person on the team. It'll ruin it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
of course not.
David.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think that the big difference, and I don't think anybody's gonna argue with me here. I don't think, like you said, I don't think anybody's heart's in house teams.
Yeah.
I think heart and love and friendship comes second. I think house teams are technique first, and then the heart of it comes second. Whereas indie teams, maybe the opposite. I feel like it's a labor of love. It's just like, hey, we like each other. We're willing to spend 2 hours a week practicing, paying money.
Yes.
Working this together.
Or also like the amount of times Wild would do shows at the clubhouse for the significant others of Wild. You know what I mean? For the Wild boyfriends or girlfriends or whoever someone was dating at the time. That used to be like our audience half the time. And we still would have the most fun. And like, it's also, I think maybe like I am just more of like a team oriented person than I am like an individual. And like getting on Herald Night, like Wild made me funnier, which made me more confident, which got me on Herald Night. But like Wild as a team did not audition. So it feels like, yeah, it's an accomplishment, but like I'm more proud in a way of the accomplishments of like Wild as a team.
Yeah, because you were there. There was no third party meddling. It was just like, no, it was all of us putting this working together.
And it like really did just kind of work like magic in a way. It was just like, wow, this really does just work. And I mean, it's not always easy, as you know. We're all individuals with like real lives outside of it, and like sometimes it feels like in order to really be a good indie team, you have to put all of your time and effort into the indie scene, and that is expensive and exhausting.
It's a lot of emotional labor.
It is,
and a lot of actual labor.
It is. And then it is hard to be like, okay, but like we think we're really funny. Why are we not being asked to do this? And why are we not being asked to do that? And it, in a way, it is like a different type of like cutthroat than a house team is. But the other thing is like, I don't know, every time something gets like frustrating on Wild, but then we do a set and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I keep coming back, is like, no matter what happens, like these women make me funnier. And every single one of them is like much better at something than I am, which is very fun. And they surprised me. I think you were at our last show. I don't think I've ever been as surprised on stage at a wild show than I was when Allie dropped the angel shot reference.
Oh, I know.
I was just like, you dumb bitch.
No, I thought that was great. I lost
was-
it, but it was just so funny because I looked around the audience. So for those of you that don't know, there's a thing at bar. Do you want to explain? Maybe I
Yeah,
should
so
explain.
like it's a thing at a bar, mostly for women when they feel uncomfortable or they're scared of the person that they're with, or someone's doing anything that is scary, they'll ask the bartender for an angel shot, and the bartender knows that this person's not okay, and they kind of have to like take care of them, either like get them home or get
the
them away from the person
bouncer.
that they're
Yeah.
with. And it was, me and Allie were on a bad date, and I didn't think it was that bad. And she dropped the angel shot reference, and it I lost my mind.
Yeah, it kind of erupted, but then you also see half the audience didn't know what
Yeah,
it
they're
was.
like, well, what? But then they knew it was a big deal because all of us on stage stopped what we were doing. We were
Yeah.
like, and I've never seen Amanda break like that before. And I was just also like, Allie and I've been playing with Allie the longest out of everybody on that team. I've heard it to surprise me, like that was insane. Because I normally like, we're also born on the same day. We're very similar
Oh, really?
people.
Yes.
Yes.
Two Sagittariuses.
Two Sagittariuses. We're born on December 2nd, which is a very popular day in the indie improv community. Matt Apodaca is also born on that day. Jake Regal, Caitlin Hempstead.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, there's a lot of us.
If you don't believe in astrology, how there's your proof.
Right?
Born on December 2nd, you're going to be an improviser.
Yeah, you're going to be an improviser, and you're probably going to be on a house team. It's all of us. And so it's like fun still to be like, wow, we've been playing. I mean, Allie and I've been playing together for probably like 7 years now, because we started in boot camp, and like, you can still surprise me so much.
Yeah.
With such an insane move.
That's almost your goal in an indie team.
Yes, you
indie
want
set.
to.
You want to like make everybody, like you mentioned, you don't think you're the funniest, so you're constantly like, well, I gotta make Sean laugh. I gotta fucking get him.
I'm like, because it's just like, yeah, I want to be every single person on my team. I need to be a little more like them. I need to have the confidence of Jess. I need to be as smart as Meg. I need to be as like, if this is true, what else is true as Allie. And I need, like, there's no better scene partner than Amanda, because she's just like, we're in this and we're in, like, she takes care of you. And so I'm like, I need to be a little more of every person, which is nice. It's like,
which is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that they feel that way about me too.
So let's go ahead and let's start like breaking this down.
Break it down.
Comparison. And let's start off with just, the way that the team comes together and how that happens.
So,
and you've been on several now.
Yes. Semi-successful indie teams.
Ruggedly Handsome and Power Lunch. So what was some of the similarities there?
The hunger of like wanting to do shows, wanting to be like coached by the best coaches, and we want to be good, and like we had the time and the dedication with that, and also like wanting to make something that is our own, which is like something you don't get on a house team.
Now, were you the force that created Ruggedly Handsome and Power Lunch?
I think really, I just have always been in like classes with other very dedicated people. And that is just kind of like, we should all like, especially with Power Lunch, like this group of people were going to like 5 shows a week. And we're like, well, why don't we just be a team?
So that's what you recognized in others. You're like, you're dedicated to this.
Yes.
Was there like a chemistry that you found like, oh my gosh,
I genuinely like felt everybody in that 401 class was very funny, which was like helpful. And it was just like fun. I also like, who am I at 401 to say no to anybody asking to like play with me? I was like, okay, I got this. And Ruggedly Handsome was like similar. It was like, let's just get a bunch of ladies together, which is exactly, I guess, kind of how Wild started too. But like, I think the other thing with Ruggedly Handsome is we had all different like schools of thought. Like some of us were UCB, some of us were Groundlings. And then we were also like young and dumb and like drinking a lot, and just like we were like, we want to be a good improv team, but we're also like, let's go get wasted instead of doing this show. And just like, and it felt like kind of when Power Lunch became a team, I was like, that is when I feel like I fully like invested into improv.
Yeah, it kind of gives you like it's like the way I kind of think of it, it's like a game of chicken because when you're on this team with everyone else and they're seeing shows, like, well, I'll see the shows too. You guys
Exactly.
get drinks afterwards? Well, yeah, I can stay. I can stay late.
Yeah.
Get drinks afterwards. Oh, you're doing that boot camp? I'll take boot camp. You're always trying to like keep up with them because
Yeah.
you think they're funnier and you think they're more talented. Like, oh, well, if you're taking classes there, I should
Yes.
probably take classes there too, you know?
When I like, that's why I say never be on a team where you think you carry the team, you think you're the funniest, because it's like it does not bode well when things get stressful.
Yeah.
And also, like, why would you want to, I don't know, play with people that make you better?
Yeah, yeah. I think like don't kid yourself. Like
Yes.
if you secretly think that you're gonna harbor it and you're gonna bring the energy with you,
Yes.
people can sense it. I always say improvisers, because we're so taught to like look for micro
Yes.
things, like whatever percentage of communication is nonverbal, what is that? Like 60%, right?
Yeah.
But for improvisers, we're honed in on that 60%.
Yes.
So if you give one little,
Yep.
we all saw
Like
it,
I'll read it on
we
the
all
back,
felt it.
especially on Herald Night. You're in an audience full of people that are studying every single one of you. So like if you make a face on the back line, you know at least 6 to 10 people saw that and they're gonna say it to their
Yeah.
teacher.
By the way, just because this is a podcast, I rolled my eyes. That's all I
Yes,
did.
yes, he rolled his
Nobody
eyes.
could see that. I rolled my eyes. So if
But
you're not
it
watching the
is,
video version, I rolled my eyes.
well,
Well, if
you're
you're not watching
missing
the video,
out,
yeah, get on that video version.
right?
Yeah, like, um, I think that's like the tough thing of like when you're first starting off and you're trying to get any team or create it. It's hard to, first of all, if you think someone's better than you or funnier than you, they're intimidating to you.
Yes.
So it's really hard. It's like asking out someone at a dance, at an eighth grade
Yes.
dance, but you got to do it.
You do, you got to do it. Or also just
And
like,
in eighth grade, I tell you what, everybody's flattered.
yeah, truly.
You want
Also, like, I think when you're starting out, like, say yes to things and also don't be afraid to walk away from things that aren't serving you. Like,
Mhm.
try everything out because you never know. You truly like never know. Also, I don't always think classes are indicative of how people really play.
That's very
It's
true.
like not the easiest space to be in. And you're like doing exercises that are bringing you closer to how to do a herald, but then you go to
Mhm.
the indie scene and you don't do heralds.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's why I think it's so much better to like find those people that, again, they're equally dedicated, or if you just vibe with them. Like,
yeah.
I remember in class, you get whatever it is, like a 10-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
If you can somehow spark a connection in the 10-minute break, it's not a lot. Be that person, get that person's
Yes.
Instagram or phone number and go see shows and be friends. And
Yes.
you're gonna bond. Because if you can make it work there, you can make it work anywhere.
Exactly. And it's also, again, like, don't judge anybody by what they do in class because it really is like such a weird space to be in.
All right, but not talking about house teams. This is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
We have no say in the matter.
You've no say. And like the other thing is like, you know, that the AEDs are looking for something. They're putting a team together.
Mhm.
And again, very lucky to be on the team that I'm on. I individually, everybody is very smart, very funny, very dedicated. Not one ego on the team. It's been really nice. Like I knew some of them before.
Mhm.
And so like getting on like this team, I don't really know like what it was about each of us that the ADs were like, this is going to be a team.
Mhm.
But I'm glad they did it. And I do think we are like, we all have like this goofy, like silliness
Mhm.
to us, and we don't take anything like too seriously, but we want to be good.
Yeah.
Which is like, how interesting that they picked up on that from each of us. And again, I feel very lucky. And it's also the other scary part is like, I have a year. I don't know what's going to happen after this year. And like, I know a lot of first year teams that like love each other and then get
Shuffled.
And then I feel like that kind of happens when you get shuffled and then you're kind of like, well, I don't want to invest as much into my like second year team or my third year team. And then you start to realize that it's like, oh, this is just like a thing, that it's just a thing I get to do for
Mhm.
however long I get to do it. And because I'm such a team oriented person, like I really don't want to be shuffled, but
Yeah.
no, like most first year teams get shuffled.
Yeah. It's almost like this acceptance, or this like, I don't want to say resignation.
Yeah.
It's like a serenity prayer. You can't
Yeah.
control it.
But I want to.
And yeah, but like you have to have the grace to like not want to change or not just
Yes.
accept it. Because when you get put on a house team, like the one thing that you can kind of depend on or count is that you're all going to be dedicated.
Yes.
Like they're going to say you have to practice once a week and you're going to have these set shows and you are expected to show up to them. And that's what you can kind of like, okay, great.
Especially because like I feel like I've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So to still have that moment where I get to like make new friends has been really like me and Taruko would have never been like I don't know if we would have been in the same room together and like would have connected, but now she's one of my favorite people. Or even like I've been a fan of Nick Tiffany's for a long time. They're very, very funny. And being like, oh wow, I get to be friends with Nick Tiffany now is like exciting. I don't know if it would have happened if we didn't get put on a team together.
Yeah.
And like it's great.
So that's a great opportunity to jump into like the next kind of aspect
Yes.
of this discussion, which is the relationships, the friendships, the bonds.
Yes.
And let's start with house teams first, because yeah, I agree. It is kind of like that thing of like being in a class or signing for a workshop. You don't know these people, and you kind of get thrown together, and you're kind of thrown into it. Like I remember for our team, I think we had one practice before our first show, and I was like, so we've only really had collectively like 2 hours.
You debuted the same night that I debuted, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We had like
1 week.
Yes. And like it again, like technically like Nick and Shakira were like veteran, but they were they got the like 4 months experience. So I still think we got them at like a good point where they're not like jaded by like the shuffles and stuff. So my hope for everybody that auditions for Harold that really, really wanted, and they want the experience of like being friends with their team and the hangouts and like all the things that like I really wanted out of Harold night. I hope you get on like an all new team, because that it tends to be like the only time that really happens is when we're all like, oh my God, I can't believe we auditioned together and like, oh, like we did it. And we all get to like revel in this feeling of this like thing that we've tried for so long to get, and then to all get it. It's been nice. And so I feel like because we all kind of started on the same page, it's been very helpful.
That's something that you're gonna find, I think, on house team structure that you won't find in the indie scene, because in the indie scene, there are people that have been there for a week, a year, a month, 10 years. So it's never really going to line up. And there's also, you know, if you were to guess how big the indie scene is right now, how big would it be?
I feel like I don't fully know like indie because like,
but let's just say, like 500 people maybe.
Yeah, it's small. I think it's smaller than it's like ever been. It's growing.
Yeah, but like I guess the point I'm trying to make though is that like it was hard, and it was only easy because you would do it for months and months and months. Eventually you rub enough elbows to be like, oh yeah, I know your face, I recognize you. Versus with house team structures and with that UCB, like there's like 64 people. Yeah, you know, so you're gonna be able to see the same 64 people every Monday. You know when to meet, and you know who they are. So it makes it a lot easier. Like there have been not only my teammates that I've been had a chance to meet, but even like people on other teams, because you know a regular time and place where they're going to be. Yep. Makes it easier to now like hang out and get to know them better.
Yeah, and also when to see them, and we're all going to go to Birds, and then it is this like weird experience that you are experiencing with 64 other people. That only these 64 other people understand what you're going through in this exact moment, which is like, it's weird.
Did you ever do like Greek life in college?
I was a president of my sorority.
Wow. Got it. Nailed it.
Yep.
So do you feel like I never did it, but do you feel like it's kind of like that? There's like kind of like a
I guess I like went into Greek life the same way I went into indie improv, where so I didn't do like traditional rush because I went to a concert to see a cute boy the rush week at Iowa.
Or attendance?
Just in attendance. Okay. Didn't even end up seeing him at this concert, and also never spoke to him. I was crazy. And so then I went to college, and I didn't like my roommate. And I was like, oh, I really thought I was gonna like go to college, become best friends with my college roommate, like all those things that you would like hope for. And I was like, I gotta go make friends now. And so then I did like informal rush, and I got bids to like 3 houses. The one I joined, Alpha Zeta, what the heck did I just say? Don't tell anybody I said that wrong. Alpha Z Delta, Delta Zeta, and then Gamma Phi Beta. Gamma Phi Beta was like the number 1 house on campus. One of my friends from high school was in that. I liked Alpha Z Delta, but they were technically like the lowest on campus, but I like liked those girls the most.
Mhm.
And so I remember calling my friend being like, hey, I think I'm going to get a bid to GFI. What do you think? And I'm so grateful to this day that she said this to me. She was like, I'm the biggest person in this house and they let me know all the time. And I'm like, great, I'm going to Alpha Z Delta. Best decision I ever made. And I made like my best friend from college was my little in my sorority that like I moved out here with. I'm still very close to those women that made my 4 years. But it was as simple as being like, I didn't care about status. I cared more about like these people.
Mhm.
Who do I connect with? Who can I actually like sit on a couch and talk to? Who do I want to go out with? Who do I want to be friends with? And I think that's the same thing like in the indie scene. It's like some people are like, oh, we got to get this person on our team because they're so funny. But I'm like, do you? Like, who do you actually want to hang out with? Who do you want to go get dinner with after shows? Who do you want to be in a in an improv practice with at 10 a.m. on a Sunday?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what matters more.
That's so incredible that you're able to tie something that I don't know anything about, sorority life, and you're able to tie it into improv, something I do know about. You're a masterful writer.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Okay, well, something, yeah, that you brought up with that analogy,
Yeah.
I want to talk about, which is, yeah, like, I guess selection, like choosing people. And that is so funny when you brought that, because like that's something that I think when I was first starting off, I always had that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have the funniest person on my
Yeah.
team. And I guess that's the same as the G5s of wanting
Yeah.
I want the prettiest, hottest
Exactly.
girls.
But it's like, are you actually friends with those
Yeah.
people? Like, and if you
It's an
are,
artificial thing to be
yeah,
like, oh, that person is the funniest, so therefore they make my team better.
exactly.
Are they?
Yeah. And it's also like, do you play well with that person?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is not always yes. Like,
It'd be great if that were the case, but
yeah.
and like I do think that like if you pick the people that you can like hang out with and just have good chemistry with, like you're gonna find funny.
Exactly.
Like the funniest people that I remember growing up was always like the people at lunch that I sat at lunch with.
Mm-hmm.
We were all quiet, and if anybody saw us, they wouldn't assume that, oh, those are the funniest guys
Yeah.
ever. But we were laughing our asses
Yeah.
off.
At some point, I feel like it's a hard thing to like get away from like status and how people see you and what do they think about you, but like you have to get
Mhm.
away from all of that to truly like enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
Because even then it was like I don't think it happens as much anymore, but it used to be like, oh, this person got on Herald Night. We gotta get them on our team and we gotta do this. And it's like, do we have to do any of this? Like, I think about I don't think I was ever on a team with someone on Herald Night to begin with. Like Wild, none of us. None like Allie and I had been on mess hall, but that was like it. And like Power Lunch, none of us were on Herald Night. Ruggedly Handsome, same thing. And it's like we were all just like the right people at the right time having fun together. And it worked.
Yeah, people like that more, I think.
Yes, because if you don't like each other, it comes off on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And like the thing is, it's like there's nothing worse than like a people that like force themselves together and then you watch them do a bad improv set. But if you're watching friends do a bad improv set, it's still going to be fun.
So fun.
Yeah, like I don't think Wild's ever had like a terrible set, but even like our worst set is still fun because we do have these like relationships. And it wasn't like we were all like, oh, I know that this girl wants to be on a team. It's not like, oh, this girl's so funny. It was more like, I know that all of these people, we're all looking for the same thing. So like, let's try something.
And I think in talking about house teams, I will say I think that's very similar. You know, like I do think that like here's the thing about Herald Night, like everyone's funny, so you kind of you wish all 64 people were on your team.
Yes,
but obviously that can't be the case.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like for me at least, like getting to know my teammates and like getting to know them personally, hanging out with them, you know, getting drinks after. That is what's like, oh, all of a sudden, like, oh, actually, I'm glad you're on my team.
Yeah.
How do I want to say this analogy? It's like the grass is always greener, but you got a lawn right here, baby. Is that a weird analogy?
No, I get because because I feel like okay, so I'll just go through this. Like Allie was also the person I confided in a lot during this time because I knew like once I like met the people on GAG and we started playing together, I was like, actually, I'm really glad that I'm not on a team with Alex. I'm like, I already have a best friend, and I think our friendship would have like been
Changed.
it, or not even that it would have changed. It just like we would have like I don't know if I would have if we would have been as like open to be friends with other people. Not that it wouldn't, but just like
Right.
nice and open to like get to know everybody on
Yeah.
the same level.
And it gives you opportunity now to take those like acquaintances and make them stronger
Yes.
friendships. And you're always gonna have Allie
Exactly.
on Wild.
Exactly.
No, 100%. Yeah, and I think that's a good segment, a good segue into this next one. Maybe the last one, if you had some more
Yes.
you want to bring up, but the form.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe that. Maybe it used to be the case, but like, there's no any teams doing heralds.
No. Well, there's no spot. There used to be this thing called like like Herald Tuesdays or something where like there was one show that would book 2 to 3 teams to do heralds, but it was one show and it was 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, like impossible to get to. And yeah, there's just like we all go through UCB, we go through levels 1 through 4 to learn the herald, and then you never do it unless you get put on a team.
Yeah,
or you have a herald practice group.
Yeah, which is also great, but you're not performing. You are just practicing.
Yep.
And I was on a Ouija's house team, whatever it was, like 8 months ago. And that was the Herald, but it would be the same thing where it was like it would be 2 Herald teams and it was just 8 people watching the other 8.
Yeah.
So it is a challenge to get people to come out to watch Heralds. It feels like UCB is the only place where you can actually get people interested to watch that Herald.
And it is like a much headier form. Like you have to pay attention. You have to be there because it's also like you can't zone out on the back line if you didn't get in your first 3 beats, because how am I going to support those beats, or what can I do to bring anything back? And it's just like it's 30 minutes of like mental gymnastics, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's also Herald Night is so interesting because you could literally like walk off Herald Night and be like, wow, we did a terrible Herald, but we got laughs the whole time. It's so weird. And I feel like that has happened with our team a few times because we are all also very charismatic people. And so it's like, you're never not going to laugh at Tucker, Nick, Shakira, Matt, Avery, or Taruko. It's never going to
impossible.
It's truly impossible. I think Taruko just like says something and the audience loses it. And Nick and Taruko both have that thing about them. So it's like, we could maybe like, was there a game in that scene? Maybe not, but did the audience laugh harder than they've ever laughed before? Yes. And so like reckoning with that is really interesting.
I was just talking to a friend about that the other day. I was like, normally you can listen kind of for a laugh, and I'm talking about indie. An indie set, because its audience is full of improvisers waiting to go up for their set, and they are attuned. So if you make a good game move, even if it's not a funny game move, but it's just like, oh, that was the right, that was the right way to heighten, or like that was an unexpected way to pivot, you'll get laughs or recognition. It's like, okay, so that was good, and that'll now tell me I got to keep doing that. Or sometimes you make a move and it doesn't get a laugh, you're like, okay, this is not working, pivot to a different game. At a UCB show, you can't do that because they'll laugh at everything.
Yeah.
And if you chase those laughs, you'll just end up,
and we've done it
dancing monkey.
times. I will say though, like, that reminds me of like some pitfalls of indie improv is because you're playing for other improvisers, you learn to play for the laughs. Just like, what's gonna get David to laugh today, who may have been watching 6 hours of improv already. And like, I've seen a lot of like bad habits happen because of that. And I think it can also cause like detached playing where you're not fully like
meta moves.
Yes. And like, listen, I love a good meta move every once in a while, but they have to be earned and they have to be like these things. And Wild has done them a few times, but I will say, I feel like they've been earned, but maybe it's just because I wanted to make them.
Well, when I make them, they're earned.
Yeah. Right. But it does, I think sometimes like, and maybe not so much now because there aren't as many opportunities, or there aren't as many indie scene like teams, but like coming up, sometimes it would be like watching it, kind of like phone it in. It did, like when it was oversaturated, there was definitely this like air of like, I don't care. And you can tell that like, I don't care. And that's how I'm going to play. Like, I don't care. And it wasn't, it kind of took the fun out of it. And so it's like, we all care, unfortunately. Like, And it's also, it's not cool to care. Like, we all care. You didn't make a Herald team and you were sad. Great. Fucking be sad. You put a lot of work into this. And every single one of us that have like auditioned has earned a spot on Herald Night. And I'm sorry you didn't get it, but you're allowed to care. We're allowed to be upset about things. But there's like this moment a couple of years ago, I feel like, in the indie scene where like caring was bad.
Yeah, everybody was detached.
It was. And I didn't like that. I don't want that part to come back, because unfortunately, like, we do care. We all spent thousands of dollars to one day make it on Herald Night. Like, that's truly what we all have done. And like, we're not all going to make it. And even if you make it, you might have a season, you might have two, you might get unceremoniously kicked off after 4 and you don't know why, but we all care. And it's like, it's okay to care. And so I remember when that, it was like a big trend for a while to like be detached and play detached. And like, it wasn't fun. I didn't like that moment.
Yeah, it's you bring up a really good point, because when you're that Herald audience is full of like young hopefuls, it's full of students, it's full of people that are there on vacation.
Yeah,
they want to have a good time.
Yeah, the Herald audience, they're an audience that also like wants to see like technically good improv. They're students. They're learning from you.
Yeah. One last thing I want to say about the indie scene is that this is the place where it's safe to fail. Not to say that it's not safe to fail at UCB in the classroom.
It doesn't feel safe.
It doesn't feel safe. I mean, you do feel all eyes on you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll be honest. I don't feel safe making mistakes at Lloyd night.
Oh, I don't want to make mistakes on Herald Night ever.
Yeah.
I feel safe making mistakes with my teammates.
I feel safe with my teammates,
but not on that stage on that night. I don't want to make a mistake.
Kid with the notebook is gonna ask his teacher about my mistake.
He's gonna be like, that Cara, how'd she get up?
Yeah, but at Indy, are you kidding me? The whole night's a mistake.
Exactly. And like, one thing I will say that I'm kind of excited to come back are like more shows where like, one thing that we just does well is like they pack your audience for you. I still think the best indie teams are the ones that could have their best set for 5 people. And I'm like excited for that to come back.
So you hear it first, Cara's campaign. Bring back small, jaded audiences.
just don't be afraid to say yes to a show that doesn't have a built-in audience.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll build character. Every team deserves their big audience of people that love them. Like, yes, always play those shows, but like, do a show for people that don't know you, that did not come to see you. Like,
I definitely agree. It's so character building, and it's like bonding. Your team is gonna bond over it,
and you work so much harder as a team to get those 6. That is one thing that like I do think Wild does well. Like, even if we have a smaller audience, we're treating you like you're 100 people no matter what. And I think that's the indie scene that like we came up in, which has been very helpful.
Any closing statements about the topic, house versus indie?
I mean, one is not better than the other, but I will say, like, don't leave your indie roots if you started indie and you go house, like, because it's not the same. And you will, I hope that like every person that has invested their time gets their chance to be on a house team. It is incredible and it is very fun, but like, there is something about the team that you put together, like watching the success of that is something that means more to me than almost anything. Like, getting to do Improv for Humans with Wild was really, really fucking cool. And also like kind of showed teams like this could be you too. Like, I don't know what Improv for Humans is doing right now, but like, it's, you work hard and you do these things, like this could be you. And that's exciting that you don't have to be on Herald Night to get those things, and you don't.
Yeah. And I totally agree. Yeah, cherish the indie team, cherish the indie community, and if you are one of the people that left, come back. The water's fine. We've kept the seat warm for you. Come also, back to the indie scene.
Not most indie teams are not going to last forever. Let change happen. Let people leave. Let teams change. Like, let those things happen, but know that like the indie scene's always there. People are always going to want to play with you. And like, your next great team might happen with the new people you meet. You don't know.
Yeah. Your next great team might not have even happened yet.
Yeah. You might not even know those people.
Yeah. That's such a nice, heartwarming thing to end on. All right, great. Well, thanks so much, Cara, for imparting us all your wisdom about house.
We could talk about improv forever.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go ahead and talk about just for a little bit longer because we have one more segment, which is gonna be our
Hot Improv Takes.
Oh,
So this is where we get a chance to talk about an
takes.
improv trend that we want to see less of, we want to see more of, or we want to stay the same.
Yeah.
You have one ready?
So the big one is like the people that pretend to not care. It's not cool to not care, especially when you spend all your time and money. You care. Just feel your feelings. It's like it's not cool to not feel them. It's not cool to act like detached. Also, it's like your feelings are valid. Feel them. Feel them. Be upset. Care about this thing. Like it honestly, like we're adults. Like it's cool to care about something. It is.
Why move to LA? Why spend thousands of hours and dollars if you don't care? We know you secretly care.
Yeah,
so
we all care. And it's also like, even like post pandemic, I know a lot of people are like, I'm not going to audition for Harold. I don't want to go back to that world. And you know what? Good for you. But don't make me feel bad that I was like one more year, you know?
Yeah.
And honestly, almost didn't do it. I talked to Allie and Allie was like, I think you should do it. And I was like, you're right. What's one more? What's one more? And I did it. And look at us now here talking about improv at David's apartment.
We care about it.
Exactly. And it's cool. Like we care. We're human beings.
I honestly think not only is it like, you know, it's always good to let your feelings out. So whether you care about it in a positive way, negative way, let it out. But you're also going to vibrate with people that have the same feelings. So if you really care about it, congratulations. Now you're going to let out into the universe.
Yes.
Let it be known that you want to hang out with other people that care about it.
Yes.
And vice versa. If you care about it in a negative way, you say, I just want to take a break.
Yeah.
You're going to find, you want to take a break? Me too. Let's take judo lessons.
Yeah. And also like, that's great too.
Yeah.
Like follow what serves you and what makes you happy. And if it is taking a break, the thing is improv's always here. You can always come back and, you know, just do you and like take care of yourself, but also like, don't pretend like you don't care because we all do.
Yeah. All right. It's time for my hot improv take. All right. So this one is really, I don't know. This is your relationship with this is your relationship to it. But hot improv take, I think you should sweat after a set.
Oh, I'm always sweaty.
Yeah, yeah. Not from the lights. I mean from physical.
Yeah. Or being anxious or something.
Yeah. Try something that you didn't know that was gonna like, if I say this, it may not work. But you should leave and you should be like, I need a new shirt after your set.
I have never left a Wild Indie Nights or a Herald night feeling like I smelled okay.
Yeah.
or looked okay. I was like, oh yeah, I need to put on deodorant.
Yeah. I know this is Hollywood. I know everyone's conscious about their image. We got those pictures on Instagram, but like let it out. And you know what gets me sweating the most is yelling.
Yeah. Oh, I love to yell.
And I know you mentioned that your team's really loud. So just yell. It's gonna wake up the back of the audience. All right, great. Well, thanks so much for stopping by and talking about improv.
This was so fun.
One last thing, please give us your plugs. Plug away.
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram at Cara Meyers. Follow. I tag them all in my bio, but like follow Gag and Wild on Instagram. Gag's up every other night, every other Monday at UCB at either 7 or 8:30. But see all the Herald teams and see the 10 p.m. Lloyd teams every other week. And Wild Indie Nights is the second Sunday of the month at 10:30 now. Come support indie improv. See what you can do that isn't beholden to UCB structure and get wild. We're fun. It's a party. And when we say it's a party, it's a party.
It's a party. I go whenever, now that HBO stopped doing their prestige television, I'm coming out. Wild's a great show. You get to see some indie teams and you also get to see world famous Wild.
Yes, we're very fun.
Yeah. I have some quick plugs. I normally don't plug, but Cara mentioned this earlier. Lloyd got a small little extension, 3 more shows. So there's still a couple of chances to see me at Lloyd night up until October 2nd. That's going to be every other Monday, 10 p.m. Please come see us.
They're very fun. I like Odyssey a lot.
Thank you so much. And then Glass Clown. We were talking about the indie show. Like we said, if you have an indie team, we want to encourage you all to get out and do performances and come out to some 6-person audiences, baby.
Also, like if you're a new indie team, the best thing you can do is just go to the clubhouse, see some shows and talk to people. We got a clubhouse show every second Wednesday at the clubhouse. So at Glass Clown Improv, follow us, message us. I run the account. So message me
let me know if you want to play. I'll be happy to put you up.
Yeah. Also, Wild, we're putting all of our shows on YouTube now. So
Oh, wow.
Wild Improv on YouTube.
That's
Yeah.
new. I love that new development.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was just like, well, I have your set if you guys wanted it.
Oh yeah, we have it. Thank
film
you. Mhm.
every one of them. So I was like, why am I not putting these up? And plus, you got to put them up so you can submit to festivals.
That's
and
right.
stuff.
Now we
But-
have these recordings. You can put them up and send to
Yeah.
festivals.
So if you missed a Wild Indie Nights, I would say start with my personal favorite, which was the Valentine's Day show we did on, I think it was like February 12th. It was just peak wild. Go watch that one on YouTube. It's really fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again. Appreciate you coming in.
Oh my God, how long were we? Oh my, we were so long. I beat Miranda.
That's right. Yes.
It's not competition, please. Please. All right. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
This was so fun.